Hey y'all, it's Mama Deb gets real about mental health. Yep, it is that time of weekend. I'm a little bit running a little bit late, but I had some fascinating conversations going on backstage, and I wanted to make sure that we bring that to you guys throughout the episode today. So I am gonna put a little bit of a trigger warning out there, y'all, because we're going to be talking about grieving, and we're going to be talking about grieving without religion, without the belief of a heaven or a hell, and we're also going to be talking about the effects um, that religion can have on your mental health, as far as like, you can pray, or your physical health, I should say, both. You can pray away your physical problems, or you can pray away your mental health. We're really going to be talking about and digging in to some real life situations. All three of the people, myself included, that are on the show tonight have lost people, and we're all dealing with it in our own ways. So if you would please welcome to the show, Oz and Jenna. It's a good thing I could talk tonight. I'm so excited. How y'all? How you doing?
Doing great, Mama Deb. So glad to be here.
I am so glad to have you guys. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am. But what have you guys been up to? Everything's good,
Uh,
Miss Jenna.
I'm just a full-time worker and just busy, or I keep myself busy just to get out of my head. But that's I'm just busy.
I hear that. And you, Oz, you busy too?
Yeah, Jen and I both we busy has become our middle names, but no, I'm as we'll get into later in the episode. I'm much better now than I was 48 hours ago. And Deb, thanks for having us on, and thank you for give us a platform to have this conversation. And it's important that we talk about it because it helps our healing process,
Heck
but
yes.
also that others can hear that maybe in similar situations. So good for you and good on you for hosting.
Well, thank you very
Yes.
much. I appreciate that. So, I think what we're going to start with, I think we're going to start, if you all don't mind, and if you prefer to do it the other way around, we can do that. But I think I'd like to start with talking about what leads up to the dealing with the grief. I like to talk about religion, really making it difficult for some of their believers, the theists, whatever you want to call it, they want to call themselves, to be relying on modern medication to help over those bumps, and how to make yourself feel better and be able to go on through. Um, I know it sounds really trite, and I'm sorry, I apologize for that, but I have this saying that I use: is better living through pharmacology. And what I mean by that is not alcohol and drugs, but I mean is managing your physical
Mhm.
health and your mental health in a way with a physician, so that you can live your greatest life in your best way. So, Oz, if you don't mind, if you'd like to start out and tell me a little bit about your mom and your mom's story.
Oh man, where do we start? Um, well, I'll give the quickest, but also most in depth description of her story possible. That way, maybe there's a complete understanding, kind of the full circle, and how we got to where we're at. But her and I saw. What's up, Aunt Kathy? I saw Aunt Kathy was in the chat. Her and Aunt Kathy and their other siblings. They, first of all, grew up in a. When I say toxic, that's probably actually doing them a disservice by
Okay.
saying that, because it was um so ugly, so disgusting. You know, Dave Warnock got to hang out with one of my cousins recently, and we had chatted after that, and he was like, "Oz, I'm gonna tell you right now, the fact that anyone in your family, given the generationally just kind of how everything is went and staggered," he said, "the fact that any of you walked away from that with any type of sanity is mind blowing. Is fucking mind blowing." So my mom, and like I said, Aunt Kathy, grew up in a very abusive, and any and other every way you can imagine abusive household. And then Aunt Kathy is, if you're familiar with Tang, she shared her story there in other places as well. And Aunt Kathy, during the Jesus movement, uh, had come to meet the Lord. And she was the one that introduced Christianity, introduced religion to the family. And my mom was, one of them that bought in hook, line, sinker. Just like we all do it whether you're indoctrinated to it, or that you're in a moment of turmoil, or loss, or whatever it is, or you need something as a source of that hope. That there has to be something better than what I'm experiencing right now.
Yes.
She grabbed onto it, and then not only did she grab onto it, she eventually squeezed the life out of it and her. So through the years, my mom always struggled with mental, uh, her mental health and stability and those kind of things, combined with if anybody's in the medical field. I've met and talked to nurses and different areas of the medical community. When I say Meniere's disease, they're educated in that field and they have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's a very rare disease, and to give a quick description, it's basically a fluid buildup behind your eardrum that that fluid buildup at any point. We could be having a completely normal conversation right now, and if I had Meniere's, there's no indicator for the onset where it takes over and it goes straight to your ears are roaring. The way my mom always described it is her head was permanently held under the ocean, where the waves are crashing over and over and over again. And then there's the I just had the word in my head and I lost it, but the constant dizziness. What is that?
Vertigo.
Vertigo. Thank you. And many other things. And the sad part of it was it could come at any time. And she was a music minister, praise and worship pastor, whatever the fuck they call it nowadays, for 20 plus years, and that was because of that disease was ripped out of her hands because she lost. I think Aunt Kathy has a much better memory than I do, but I think in her what we all in the family called her bad ear because of the years she had lost like 60 or 70% of her hearing.
Okay.
So this thing that she held so near and dear for so long now is just ripped out of her hand. She can't even do it anymore. One, because she could be standing on stage and Meniere's takes over, or she just can't fucking hear. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of important if you're going to be not just a musician, but a leader of a musical, team or group, that it's kind of critical that you can hear, what's going on.
No, absolutely. I can only imagine, Oz, that it actually probably felt to her like her lifeline had been ripped out away from her. Because when you're that into music or art or whatever your passion is and it's taken away, it leaves this hole that is just, I don't even begin to know how to describe to fill that hole. I can't imagine how that was for her.
Yeah, I remember many conversations with her, and she's like, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. And I was like, it's not fair, Mom. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So that was kind of ripped out of her hand. Not kind of. It was ripped out of her hands. And after that, that's when my mom's life it went from your very no compromise militant Christian, where we don't sin. Not only do we not sin, we don't compromise. We don't even put ourselves in situations where we may be tempted to compromise that faith or that belief. And that's when everything kind of shifted and took a different trajectory, because next thing I know, my mom is at first it's a glass of wine here, a glass of wine there, a glass of wine here, a glass of wine there. And behind the scenes, what nobody else sees going on is her mental health is just deteriorating because she won't stay on her prescribed medications. She's on and off and on and off and on and off. And anyone, her and I both shared the same bipolar diagnosis. You can't do that. Like you're making shit worse when it's on and off, and you're not, pardon my expression, but you're not religious about taking those medications every single day when you're supposed to, when you're supposed to take it. And so all of that was a cocktail for a disaster.
Yeah.
And what I from my perspective, this was kind of where we got was my mom would never say this out loud. I think if she was still here today, she would never say it out loud. But I knowing my mom as well, because I've always been my mother's son. Like I've always connected with, had a better relationship with my mom than I did my dad. Um, and if I know my mom as well as I think I did, she wouldn't say it out loud because she had so much invested into this belief and into this religion. I think she hit a brick wall. I think she hit a brick wall where it was okay. I've done everything that Dr. Jesus has told me to do. Everything. Invested damn near my entire life into this. But here, every doctor appointment, every specialist appointment, every boom, 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 all of that, there are no answers.
Yeah.
And then when I pray and I have other people pray and we intercede and we believe, and then they pray and we spread around, still nothing changes. And the more that happened, the more my mom was driven into not just drinking a glass or two of wine, but it was pure alcoholism, where it was completely used to numb and self-medicate, and now, like I get it. I get it. She was miserable, you know. She was absolutely and had no answers, not just from doctors, but this God that she really thought was going to swoop down from the heavens and rescue her.
Yeah.
There was no answer. There was no answer in sight. And I don't think at this point I'm fairly certain, if not damn certain, that my mom, that that afternoon, that evening, whenever the actions actually took place, she decided that enough's enough.
Yeah.
I'm miserable physically. I'm miserable mentally, psychologically, and I can't do this anymore. And with all the contributing factors and leading up to that, I'm not even mad at her. If anything, I'm at peace. I have closure there because I know she doesn't have to live with that shit anymore. And then I'll end it with this: all the way up until I would say the last 2 years, timeline on it, up to about the last 2 years, it was always, we can pray and believe and faith through this thing or through these things, no matter what. We can pray and believe through it. And she had little different prayer corners and things, not just in her most recent home with my stepdad, but even the apartment that she had when she heard my biological dad split. But these like little prayer spots or corners or whatever, it would just have these outrageous, not scripture, just outrageous like quotes. I don't know if she came up with them or if she read them somewhere, but it was the like one, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it exactly. I wish I would have had a phone at the time. This was years ago. I wish I would have had a phone to take a picture, but it's something along the lines of there is no mental or physical illness that faith cannot overcome. And I'm like, but this is how we got where we're at.
And I have to first off, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that your mom had to go through that. And I'm so sorry as her son, you have to go through this now. But I have to applaud you on the biggest level that you here are a year after her passing and you're like, I'm at peace with it because I know my mom is at peace. And I know my mom's suffering and my mom's, and I'm not meaning to put words in your mouth, Oz, but I'm saying like my mom's disappointment, because if I was your mom and I had all that faith and I was praying and I was believing and nothing was getting better, in fact, it was getting worse and worse and worse, I would be disappointed. I would think that everything I believed in my entire life was a lie. And I am so proud of you for being able to make that connection and go, you know what, Mom, thank you. You're at peace. I'm so glad you're at peace. And there's no more pain. There's no anything for you. That's a hard step. And I'm impressed that you are already there. I really am, because taking that step took me a long damn time with my brother and my best friends and stuff like that. So Miss Jenna, do you want to share a little bit of your story?
Yes. So I won't go full detail with mine, but as far as what it pretty much was the catalyst of me starting to question and kind of vamp to my deconstruction period was the loss of my biological father over 10 years ago. I want to say 2010. In 2010. Um, it was sudden. I was in my third year of college, just started actually, and within a month, I saw him 3 weeks before he passed. Like my travel from school was taking a bus to a train to Northern California to get to where I went to college. And so, 3 weeks later, I pretty much got a call coming out of a late class Thursday evening from my mother saying, "Oh, your dad wants you to come home. He's in the hospital. He just wants to see you." So it was her coaching me home. Pretty much the next day, I was back home, and my thinking was we were going to immediately go to the hospital to go see him, and instead we drove home, and that's where she told me he actually passed.
Oh,
So the
wow.
call that she sent to me the night before was my dad was already gone. So she,
Oh, wow.
I mean that I don't. That's not a bad thing. Obviously, I never held anything against her to do that because I would have been a fucked up mess to
Oh,
not
yeah,
say. Yeah,
absolutely.
I would have been a
Absolutely.
fucked up mess trying to get back home. So she did that perfectly. But thereafter, going through arrangements, which took literally a week, and then the following week we buried him, and then the next day I was back on the train back to school. I realized I did that way too fast, and I extremely regretted it because literally I just had my dad's funeral the day
Yeah.
before, and I'm back in school the following day. For I would say 2 to 3 months, every night consistently, I would wake up screaming because I would have uh, nightmares of my dad trying to kill me. Don't know why. It's nothing I ever did to my father. I was daddy's girl. So
Yeah.
anything and everything I did was because my daddy liked it.
Yeah.
So, and those nightmares haunted me for quite a long time. I did not understand them. And that provoked my mother to think that I was going crazy. And of course, yeah, my family, of course, is very religious, Baptist Christians, and so also with mental health and the idea of going to see a therapist is a big no-no because only like
Taboo. Yep.
crazy people, as they would say, go to see therapists, and
Yes.
so it's always pray about it. That's always the language, and
Mm-hmm.
when my mother realized she simply couldn't have me pray about it, or I couldn't, or I was still struggling, she forced me into therapy. And I wasn't ready. I was terrified. I want to say 18 at the time, 18 or 19 at the time. No knowledge of medical stuff. Didn't even have an idea or clue if I wanted to be um, a nurse. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I was 20. I was
Yeah.
29. Trying to remember the year, but
You are not stupid.
I was just going to say that too. So I ditto. You're not stupid.
thank you. um, so I only went once just because I was forced to. And I cried the whole way through because I did not know. It felt weird. I was nervous and I felt like, this was a punishment to say, because I was more or less still a believer that, I'm not supposed to be here. Like I'm really trying to be a good Christian and pray about it. And I don't know why I'm having nightmares. And I never did anything wrong to my dad. I don't understand, but I don't want to be here. I felt unsafe. I only went once and never again.
Yeah.
um Not fully understanding the need and all that stuff because of faith and things like that. So for several years, dealing after losing my biological dad suddenly, deconstructing by myself, questioning on my own, just watching anything and everything I can on the internet, didn't turn to any person at all.
Yeah.
I legitimately just went through that lonely time by myself. And about maybe 4 years now being an atheist, finally coming to terms with my deconstruction and just officially just saying like, yeah, I'm an atheist. But for all that time, I still held on to the faith that I would see my father. So immediately coming to that realization, I broke down once again and grieved all over again for quite a long time, knowing that heaven's not real. I'm never going to see my dad. That was it. That was it. Those many years ago. And so that, and even now, kind of just, it was so long ago, but it still feels fresh all over again, just
Oh, yeah.
because I'm grieving differently now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really, really tough for me. And now, in recent years, my mother had remarried. They were married for my stepdad were married for 4 years. And this past April, yeah, April this year, my stepdad passed away in the hospital, and myself and my sister, I have an older sister, and my mother were there in the ICU, excuse me, with him at his bedside, and I watched him die. And so that was traumatic, to say the least. And
Yes.
I'm a nurse now. I've been a nurse for 10 years, and so I've been through codes, try to save a person's life. Sometimes it was successful, sometimes it was not. I've actively seen a patient or older resident that I used to take care of when I used to work assisted living die. I've even prepared the bodies for families, and that, it doesn't it, it's I don't know, it's just a duty, and you want to still strive to take care of them while they're living and
Absolutely.
dead. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But obviously that's a different kind of trauma,
Yeah.
seeing, someone closer. Even though he wasn't my biological father, I still had a lot of love for him,
Yeah.
and he was very great and essential in my mother's life.
Yeah.
And actively seeing him pass away was, you know, yeah, it drew a whole new grief in me, and recalling, like, I don't know how I would be if I actually saw my father pass. I don't know if that would have been even more traumatic. But I know, as me and my family is very fast paced as far as, preparing things. Like, okay, we can't, next day
Yeah.
we were pretty much in a funeral home making arrangements and getting all that shit together. And I remember sharing this on me and Oz's show on our channel, when we talked about pretty much my experience and what I was going through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be recording, just because whenever we're preparing certain events, like I held a big help for my sister's wedding last year, my mom's wedding 4 years ago. I always take notes, record things just to kind of remind everyone later and get everything ready. I'm like pretty much the secretary of the family. So I was recording, and during the session, we spent like an hour there, and there was a part in the meeting with um, the funeral director, that my mother made she was referencing something as far as their arrangements. My mother made a comment. I can't recall exactly what she said, but it made the lady stop and look at all of us and say, I understand. I think you all are doing a great job, and I can see your faith. And let's just say, you
Mm.
know, I can understand that. I don't understand how a person that does not have a belief can get
Mm.
through the grieving. And I just sat there and I stared at her, and it took a lot in me to just exactly that. It took
Exactly.
a lot in me to not just do this,
Yeah.
because I just saw my stepdad die
Yeah.
yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I in that moment, I spoke to my stepdad, in a sense, standing at his bedside holding his hand, in my mind, to say, I know I did well for him. I know we did the best we could. In my way, that was my moment having closure.
Yes.
And I think I came from that okay.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that woman say that, to just presume that we all have this shared belief, and I'm sitting there as an atheist, and I'm like, you motherfucker.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, ever since then, it's been tough. It has been tough. And whether you're a believer or not, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But knowing the difference when I was a believer, when my biological dad died, and how I haven't been when my stepfather died, I struggled a lot, and I talked a lot with Oz during that whole time where, you know, my sister and my mother had each other to lean on. They had faith and prayer and things like that, and I had to stay tough. I
Yeah.
did not know how to grieve with them.
Yeah.
I was by myself. Again, I find myself in a situation where I'm alone. I don't know how to grieve with my own family, and that bothered me, and it sucked. And it still kind of sucks to this day. But, luckily I have a wonderful partner to share this with, even though we're miles away from each other. It helped even just a little bit to
Mhm.
have someone hear me and my thoughts and what I was going through without the prayer bullshit.
No, exactly. And I think, wow. Again, my condolences to you. And what I really want to point out is that this community that I have been so incredibly lucky to become a part of is such a blessing. Well, I don't know if I'm going to say blessing because doesn't mean it has to come from God, but it is a blessing on all of its members, because I've never seen a community come together like this one does to support its members through their times of trial and whatever's going on in your life. There's always somebody there to talk to you or to hold your hand or just give you a high five and say, I thought about you today and I hope that made you feel a little better. Because I know, especially in situations like when you are faced with losing a loved one, like with my brother, he was in Desert Storm, the very first one. I prayed every day that man would come home alive, and he ended up dying three years after Desert Storm to a gunshot wound. And I thought it was my fault because I didn't pray enough while he was home. And how do those feelings, how do you deal with that kind of guilt? And for me, I slid back into religion. And then with my best friend dying, I didn't slide back into religion anymore because I realized she was gone. And the thing that we did, we were both paramedics, and we dedicated our lives to saving other people. And we both knew there wasn't a thereafter. But the thing that has helped me the most, and you guys give me your input on this, the thing that has helped me the most is the memories, the silly stuff. Like I'm driving in the car and I hear a song, and y'all, I'm not a rap fan, okay? I am a country music fan, but there's a song called "The Freak," and it's way, way back. And my girl used to roller skate to it. Every time I have it on disc, and I'll turn that thing up, and I know in my head, oh, I had 22 years of wonderful love for this woman, and this was a great thing. And those kind of things help me. It's the memories. And when people come to me and go, you'll see him again another day. I'm like, no, I'm not going to see him again. Not like that. I'm not, but I'm going to have these beautiful, wonderful memories that I am going to hold on to forever because they're going to make me smile just like they did when they were here. And at least that's what I have to help me through my grief. I don't know if that's what's helping you guys or if you find anything like that helps you guys out. Got any thoughts?
What would you say, babe?
You go.
No, you.
No. You.
Oh, they're so cute.
No.
Please go. I had to think about mine.
So I'm one that I said I don't want to forget my mom. I don't want to sound cold right now. I don't want to forget my mom because it is much fucked up shit as we went through together when I was young. And as much fucked up shit that happened just between her and I, especially when I walked away from religion. There's a lot of good, bad, and ugly, man. But there are good things that I can remember. But I think it's I don't know if it's just the way my brain is wired. I like even my stepdad has asked, do you want to go through some of her things, their keepsakes or whatever that you want of hers, and I'm like, nah, actually I don't. And it's not because I didn't or don't love my mom or didn't have love for my mom. I don't want the constant reminder. That's for me. And that's me protecting my mental health.
Absolutely.
I don't want that constant reminder of what happened.
Yeah.
And not just what happened, but what led up to it. after years of her and I, like she was one of, if not my best friends on the planet.
Yeah.
And up until this point, and it all dissolved so quickly because of this religion that I don't necessarily want to be reminded of that, because there were so many things that we didn't get to talk about and that we didn't get to talk through, before she passed, that I don't want it, because I'm in a good place now, without a healthy place where I don't have any regrets.
Okay.
And I don't really have a bunch of these I wish I would have, wish I wouldn't have, like I don't, but I feel like if I keep reintroducing myself to these memories and these keepsakes and that I will give room for that. And
Okay.
and in that I don't want to do that, because I've not done anything wrong.
You're right. You haven't. You're right.
I haven't done anything wrong, and I don't need to adopt an additional burden that I don't own and I didn't create, right? And so I think some people cherish those things, and I think that's awesome. I think that's great, because we all do, we all grieve and mourn and go through that process. Yes, you can have family and a community and friends around you to help you and love you and even coach you in some moments, but at the end of the day, you do it the goddamn way that is best for you, and is the most constructive and beneficial for your mental health. And for me, that's where I'm just kind of like, I don't think it's good for me to hold on.
Then that's it, everybody grieves and mourns in their own way over their own time frame. And for anybody to say you have to get over it, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you're not being healthy for yourself, no, they don't walk in your shoes. They don't make decisions for you. You grieve in the way that makes the most sense for you, and the one that brings you the most peace of mind. And that's what's important, because if I grieved the way that my dad and stepmom did when my brother died, I would have had a nervous breakdown, because I could not handle the just overload that they had thrown on them, because it just wasn't so. I got to go away. I got to go home, and I got to go away from the accident scene, but they didn't get to. So it was definitely a different process for us. And I think, honestly, as children, as adults, we all know in one way or another that, and we all hope it's a very long ways down the road, that we're all going to eventually have to say goodbye to our parents. But I feel like in both of your situations, it was entirely too soon. And that makes the grieving process that much harder for us. And it is that much harder on our mental health, because now we're playing the why game. And even if you don't want to, you don't realize that you're still playing the why game with yourself, going, why did this have to happen? What did I do wrong? What did they do wrong? What happened? Why is this happening to me? And especially with the loss of a parent too soon, because that is your guiding force. That is your protector. That is your, like Oz says, you was a mama's boy. That's your love. Okay. That was your first love, was your mama. And probably the same thing for you, Jenna, with your dad. And it's, to have that gone before it should be is so traumatic for us mentally, that I cannot say enough, you guys, about grief counseling and grief therapy. If you don't have a therapist, I highly recommend everybody get one, at least one. And I also recommend grief support systems, because you can go to grief support and you could talk to, 5, 10 people, maybe 2 people, but somebody in there is going to be able to look at things the same way that you do, and maybe help you just a little bit, and to share that story, the stories that we're sharing tonight. Maybe somebody's grieving like we are, and maybe somebody's looking at us going, geez, those guys can get through that, then maybe I can get through a couple more hours. And I think that that's what's important about recognizing that just because we don't have a religion doesn't mean we don't grieve, because we grieve. Our hearts know.
Yeah, and whoever says some dumb shit like that, fuck you. Come holler at your boy. Like,
exactly.
Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. That shit pisses me off. 2 things if I can real quick. Yes, first of all, therapy, and there's the Secular Therapy Project. There's Recovering from Religion, and as far as the Atheist Network group, Tank Gang, we have access to and not just a secular, but an atheist therapist that even if you don't live near me, she does it digitally.
Awesome!
And now it's kind of built her own little 2 or 3 team, person team, because we've centered enough people now. She's like, I can't handle anymore, which is
that's a nice problem to have.
And And I want to, because I'd probably handle this a little bit different if we were on the Tang channel. So I'm going to handle this much differently than I would there. But I want to highlight this because it's a crucial part of this conversation, and I won't allow it to be sugar coated or treated as if it's not a toxic thing, especially for those that have been indoctrinated into whether it's the highly evangelical, charismatic, or Baptist movement, where when the word prayer is used in those communities that we're coming out of, it's not just verbalizing words as a therapeutic sense to hear yourself say these words. And just to make sure I'm accurate, and I'm not just talking on my ass, I looked up the Merriam-Webster definitions. An address or petition to a god. So you're asking for something. This is not therapeutic. This is you're asking to set in order words using prayer, an earnest request or wish.
Right.
I'm sorry, that is not therapeutic.
No,
that
it
is
not.
You saying that I don't know what to do with these emotions. I don't know what to do with what's going on, and all I've been taught is to pray to this God that he will step in and intervene and do these things for me, rather than me working through the emotions and therapeutically processing through this and finding a healthy finish line for this. But that's not what prayer. You can try to stagger it and move the pieces around the way you want to make prayer look good or sound good, but it's not. It's false hope. It's a lie, because prayer does nothing if we're using it in that. And like I said in the chat, if we're talking about meditation, then I have a completely different view, a completely different opinion on that. But I'm not gonna I'm sorry, I refuse to sit back and watch or listen or whatever, and people try to make prayer this healthy thing, because it's not. It fucks so many people up.
And what it does is, it honestly, in my opinion anyway, and remember, y'all, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a gal who has mental health problems, who wants to make the world a little better place by coming together. But for me, what it does for me, praying, it makes me feel like I am begging for somebody to come down and help me. And y'all, I have worked a long time to be the strong woman that I am today. And I've gone through a lot of crap, but I'm not begging anybody for anything anymore, because I will help myself. And that means getting to therapy. That means talking to friends. And that means going through your process the way it has to be, because nobody gets to tell you that. Nobody,
Right.
And I had the most asinine thing happen at my best friend's funeral. And well, we did a celebration of life. We didn't do a funeral because she didn't want one. And somebody said to me, we were doing toasts, and somebody raised their glass to said, well, here's to dying and go into heaven. And I dropped my glass and I was like, you have got to be, excuse my mouth, but you have got to be fucking kidding me. I'm here at this woman's funeral and you're telling me I should be happy that she's dead? I was so offended that I actually had to be walked out of the room by my daughter. She's like, oh my God, my mother's going to punch this woman. And I'm glad that it works for her, whatever. I got no beef or whatever. I wanted to kill her, because how dare you? How dare you say that to somebody who's grieving someone? Just because, why? Why would you think that's acceptable? And it's those kind of things that just really get to me, because you don't get to tell me. Nobody gets to tell anybody how to grieve. They really don't, and it's so individualized again. And I agree with you. I was 100%. Praying is absolutely useless. It is useless, because I've got what it takes inside me, and I finally found that. And I can, I'm sure you guys agree with me that I found it, and I'm not going back. I will help myself.
Right. And of course, if you certainly don't feel that, even in the present time, that you don't have the ways in which you can help yourself, there are others that can support you without, the anchor of or dangling faith over your head, or a prayer or things like that, like genuinely out of their own, goodwill, without, proposing that a God told them to.
Exactly.
And I mirror what you just expressed as far as when my biological father passed. I remember, I don't know who it was, probably a church family person. I'm not quite sure, but after the ceremony, on our way to the burial, someone had came up to our family, and she happened to just want to be right in my face, so close, and hold my hands or my arms like really tight. And I was obviously tearful. I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't like boo-hooing, but obviously there were tears in my eyes. And she just gets in my face and was like, it'll be okay. God has your dad for a reason. And I look at her and I feel like my eyes just went red. And I just had an urge to hit somebody, and I never hit anyone before. So it saying that to me at 20 years old, telling me that God needed my dad. And I'm like, I'm still a growing woman. I need my dad,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely,
So
sis.
that
Absolutely.
really triggered. And I would hate for someone to say that or put someone in that kind of uncomfortable position to say, so-and-so, God, faith, whatever, needed them for a reason. That's bullshit. And I lost both of my dads suddenly. It wasn't anything like timely. It was just all of a sudden here one day, gone the next.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
And there is no right answer. There isn't. There is the right answer for you and for you alone.
Right.
Oz, I was going to ask you, and again, tell me if this is not a subject you're comfortable with, but you said that your mom would have been using alcohol to help with dealing with her things, her issues. And I do that as well. I don't hide the fact that I'm an alcoholic. Okay. And I do that. I do drink, and I drink a lot of to hide from my pain, and to be to get through the rough patches. And we've talked about different types of things that we're doing for ourselves to help us with a much more constructive way to get through those rough patches. But do you feel that, was it hard for you? I mean, was it hard for you to watch your mom not fall, but like go down that path, and then to be there to hold her hand, but yet you were an atheist at that time and she was still a theist? Was it hard for you to make that connection and do what you needed to do?
Yeah, all that was a bit of a whirlwind, so to speak, because like I stated earlier, it went from we were best friends to, I was just telling Jenna the other night we were talking. I remember when my the mother of my children and I split, and I stayed with my mom for about 2 weeks as I was, finding my new apartment and everything to live in. And I went out. Long story short, I went on the back patio, and this was now like her, I don't remember, second or third, bottle of wine, and she's just trying to go ham on me, and I'm like, Mom, I don't, I'm gonna go inside. I don't want to do this with you. Like, what is this? Like, she had never talked to me like that before, never treated me like that before. And that was probably one of those heartbreaking moments where it's like, yes, I know the alcohol is talking. Like, I know the alcohol is talking, but with or without the alcohol, until until you knew that I walked away from this faith and this religion, you would have never talked to me like this. Even drunk, you wouldn't have talked to me like this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes it, gives it a worse sting, but yeah, it did suck, because I know, like for me, yes, I drink, and I think everybody knows that Oz drinks. Mine's more, I drink it just in hopes of getting like 2 hours of sleep. Like,
that's always good too. Yeah.
That's my thing. My insomnia and everything is so bad. Mine isn't really to like self-medicate like the bipolar or anything like that, because what I do, medically and some other things, like I'm cool there.
Yeah.
It's that we've just never found anything to conquer the insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's where mine lies. But to watch her go there, it was, it sucked, because I never would have imagined, from watching my mom, and her heydays, where she's writing, composing and recording Christian albums, and getting offers to sign like contract deals with these Christian recording labels, and Like all this shit. You could have never convinced me then that, one of the last like super clear memories that I have of my mom is being fucking shit faced, hammered, drunk on her patio, cussing me out and telling me how far away off I am. And I'm like, hold on, I'm sober. You're the one fucked up, and you're telling me how fucking far off I am. It's like that. That was one of those moments where it was like, man, this is how delusional you
Yes.
can become.
Yes.
This is how that you think you can still hide behind that faith, that just because you can do all the same things I do, you can act just the same way I act, you can cuss like a sailor just like I do, drop the F-bomb every 4 words just like I do, but because you still cling to the hope and the religion, you have this moral high ground, right?
Oh, yes.
You have this moral that you're so much more superior than I am. And it was after that conversation, and I kind of shared this again with Jenna the other night. It was after that I was like, "Fuck you! Like you're my mom, you're my mom." But at this point, I'm however old I was, the only thing you're responsible for at this point is I popped out your vagina. That's all you're responsible for. That's it. And I don't owe you anything else anymore. I have to do the best that I can do for myself, and that was kind of my point where I had to clean my hands of it, because if I knew if I held on to that, it was just going to damage me.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could do to change her mind or help her to see it my way. Or, Mom, you're doing your thing that makes you happy. I'm doing my thing that makes me happy. Can we meet in the middle? Like I already knew that shit wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So it was like done.
Yeah, because happiness should be ultimately, if the world was this glorious, wonderful place that people who are theists believe it is, shouldn't happiness be the ultimate goal? Shouldn't it be, we don't have to all get there by one road, we should all just reach happiness together and be our true selves? Wouldn't that be nice? But it's
Absolutely.
not something that's going to happen with the way things are, because I agree with you. They take that high road, that moral high ground, and just listening to what you're saying and knowing the stuff that I've gone through, if I wasn't an atheist today, I would be simply listening to what your story is. And the reason being is that I would be so pissed off. Okay, where the fuck was God then? Where in the F was God when this woman was struggling? This faithful woman every day did her thing. She found her passion in this, and this is how you thank her? This is what you doomed her to? I would be so angry, and I would be such an overnight atheist just by listening to that. That's what angers me the most about people who feel that the only way to comfort someone who is grieving is by saying, God, well, they're in God's hands, or they're in a better place. Well, first off, I hope to God they're in the wind or whatever it is. I hope that they are not suffering. That's all I care about. I don't want suffering anymore. And see, I'm having a hard time getting that word out of my vocabulary. I use it a lot still. Like, I hope to God, I hope this, or that. My children are having a good time trying to get me to get rid of that, because I raised 3 atheists, being a theist. I still have no idea how that happened, but I did it. So, Jenna, how did that? I'm sure you had a hard time with it, because your mother is Baptist, and she's very active in the church, if I'm remembering correctly. Did I?
Who, me?
Yeah, I said. Did you have a hard time with that? When your mom saying that, that with your dad and your stepdad?
Sorry. Well, because I got confused because you said very active in the church. I thought you were referring to his mom. She's not really that well, I mean, she goes to church, but it's not active, like years she used to be. But anyway, no, sorry, I got a little caught off guard too, because babe, I know I'm gonna hear this from you later.
Oh boy.
I've been going through last day or two just my own kind of struggles, kind of a little bit how what I shared before the show, but as far as if my family wants to see me happy, if that happiness is for truly just for me or for them, and if I can genuinely be my authentic self and live the life that I choose to live it and the direction I want to take it versus following their direction,
Yeah.
I've been struggling it, not just recently, but for years I've been struggling with that for as long as I can remember, maybe most, if not all of my 20s and most of my adult life, I've been struggling with that. Maybe just falling into my younger age, but I can't really recall a whole lot. But, just the idea that I'm 32. I'm at this age where I've never truly had a life. I've said this many a times. I don't remember my 20s. I've just been work, school, work, school. And, following along this path of, you can only do this to get this, and you can only do this to get this. And the whole religious aspect has really made me stagnant. And of course, along that has built up my fear of being an out atheist to my family. And now I'm just at my breaking point where I want to just fucking say it and move the fuck on. But I'm scared because it's twofold. One, coming out as an atheist and just not feeling like I have to have an obligation to go to church when I don't fucking want to. And two, um, you know, being and living and feeling closer to my partner because we want a life together.
Yeah.
And, this whole thing of, I went through a lot of headache and trauma a couple days before going up to Indiana for the Better Conference in June. The ugly stuff my mother told me and said to me was disgusting. It was truly disgusting. And it all laced in the whole faith thing about shacking and she thinking I was going to get murdered and turn out missing. Well, I'm here. I lived. And all this other stuff. And to say that, I'm supposed to live, basically saying I'm supposed to live a certain way and not this way.
Yeah.
And, and also to pretty much keep me here in California, no matter what. I cannot, it is like a no-no. And I don't even know how faith is laced with this, but it's an absolute no-no with my family if I ever moved out of California. Their idea is that I'm to be living in a big home with all of them.
Yes.
And I don't want that. That's not growth. I feel stagnant and just, all of that, plus the impact of their faith being not mine anymore, is really become, now to my realization, very toxic and abusive mentally. I just, and trying to navigate that is presently difficult. I deal with untreated depression. And so I'm striving to get myself better, but all I can really do is I have my trust and lean on Oz a lot. And of course I've talked to others in the community too, but sometimes it's really hard for me to reach those points. So I think in that way, especially with the recent loss of my stepdad, it's an additional grieving process for me too, because I genuinely love my family.
Oh, yes.
But I love myself more and enough to see that I cannot stay here.
Yeah.
I'm not happy. I need something else in my life. I don't want this path that they want or think that they can keep me in.
Yeah.
I just can't.
And I feel your pain there because I truly am grieving my family as well, because I come from a very religious background as well, and I have one particular sibling that is very, very vocal about their feelings about me being an atheist, and how could I share that with my parents? My parents are getting older. Well, you know what? It truly is. You grieve it. You grieve being that, because that's safety net. That's a wonderful place to be. It's your family. They love you. Even coming from the messed up family that I came from, it's still there. And to have to grieve that family, it's a reality, because they're not going to accept you for what you are. And in order to be your true self and live your true self and be happy, they're going to have to, and you're going to have to move on. And that is the toughest move that I can even imagine making, Jenna. My heart goes out to you, absolutely, because I wouldn't even be able to. I don't know, 10 years at your age, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'm 52, so I'm 20 years older than you are, and I would not have been able to do it.
And, this is a part of me in my present life that I wish I was a bit more like my partner, where I just take some of his attitude and be like, fuck it, I'm gone. I'm out this bitch. Bye. I wish I had a bit of him like in me giggity, to have that attitude. What? I didn't say
No, it
anything.
was a good thing. Also, it was a good thing. Just say thank you.
I was yes, I'm all about it.
I wish I had that.
Yeah.
So much of me and Oz are so similar in so many ways, but our personalities are completely different. Personality, excuse me. But I realize, it's just me. Even though I have him, it's really physically me here by myself to stand up against my sister, my mother, my sister's husband, the rest of my kind of immediate family that's located in California, plus perhaps the pastor calling me and shit.
Oh yeah.
It's that's scary and difficult. And I know it would be hard. It would be so difficult and not easy. But I'm not going to allow that to stop me. I can't. I've already lived so much of my life for what they want, and none of it has made me happy. None of it I feel like I'm growing in any sense. And I need something else. I need my life.
And
so
that's true.
grieving through that and knowing that, I'll be away from my family. I'm not trying to divorce them or anything or just escape. I love them and genuinely will still be connected and reach out to them if they want that.
But there lies the problem.
Right.
There lies the problem, because for them, it's going to seem like you're walking away from everything that they believe in or they feel is right and that they taught you to believe in. So they're going to literally believe you're done. Yeah. And that's so asinine. That is so asinine. My sister's like my very best friend and I love her to death, and she believes in God and I don't. And it's okay. We respect each other and we still love each other and we're still best friends. And at some point your family will come to realize that. But sweetie, anytime you need mama, dad, you getting married, you want your mama decides not to come out, you tell me, I'll be there, and I'll be there to sit in the front row for you, okay? Because I know how hard this is going to be for you. And you have, I'm sending you all the good stuff I can, because it's going to be a rough road, but I'm really proud of you, because you're going to go out, well, first off, you're going to live with Oz, and it's going to be great, and you're going to be closer, and I'm going to be all happy for the couple that you are, because that's what, I do. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great thing for you guys. I really do. And really quickly, did you guys have anything you want to add?
I absolutely do on that. Because it's Jenna and I have these conversations privately, but I think it's important because it's not just Jenna or I that that have struggles or have to fight through these things and have to go blow for blow with our anxiety or our depression, or it's not just us.
Right.
Nope.
There's so many other people, so many fucking other people.
Yeah.
That are going through it. And it's not to minimize anything that Jenna said, that I've said, or Deb, even that you've said tonight. But the moment we think we have it fucked up, there are many other people that if we took a step back, it's like, this shit's a walk in the park, bro.
Yeah.
This shit's a walk. And again, it's not minimizing. I am not minimizing, but it's all about perspective.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
when I'm in the weeds, can I afford myself the opportunity to step back and get a 30,000 foot view rather than this view where I'm blinded by the matter. I'm blinded by the situation. And yes, that is much, much easier said than done in the moment.
Yes.
Right? And I know that. Jenna knows that. Deb, you know that. There's many others that are even watching or listening right now that we know that. And that's why shows like this, platforms like this are so important, because there's one thing when you're thinking and you're processing within your bipolar, anxiety, depression, you're not thinking rational. And I'm raising my voice on purpose because all of us, including me, need to hear this. You're not being rational. You are not thinking logically. You are in your fucking brain that's lying to you right now. In the moment, it's lying to you, just like mine does to me. Jenna does to hers. Deb, I'm sure yours does.
Oh, yes, it does.
Over and over again. But here's one thing that I want to make sure that this is not mistaken. And I've heard way way too many times that again, this is one of those things that gets tiptoed around, and it's like, do we really want to go there? Do we really want to be that brass? Yes, we need to be this brass. And Jenna, I love you, and we've already had this conversation, so I have no problem talking about it. Your family doesn't mean shit. Your family doesn't mean shit. If what they're giving you is opposed to what you know makes you happy, and your pursuit of that happiness, their opinion is dog shit. It's literal steaming dog shit laying on the ground. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it hurts, man. It hurts and it sucks when you have to come to the realization that they don't care about your happiness. They don't care about you living your best life, your most free life, your most liberated life, whatever. They only care about their happiness, how your happiness fits into the context of their fucking happiness.
Yes.
Right? So tell me, if it wasn't family, if it was a group of friends, would we allow that?
Absolutely not.
We would say fuck off
Mhm.
in a heartbeat. We would say fuck off in a heartbeat. And I can say all this and say it this confidently because I've fallen in the past fallen into that category where I allowed my family to get all the free passes.
Yeah.
And get all the excuses for the abuse and the toxicity and the disgusting bullshit that they said and that they did.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting everybody to do it, as quickly as I did it or as aggressively as I did it or do it. I'm not asking that, but every single one of us has to look in the mirror and say, okay, are the people that that I include in my sphere of influence, the sphere of people that influence my day-to-day life, how I make my decisions, how I approach life, how I approach my relationships, are they more for me than they are against me?
Yes.
And even your Bible says, if you're a Christian, if you're not for me, you are against me.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you get to say that, I get to fucking say that.
That's right.
Point blank, period. Fuck it.
No, and you have a very, I don't even know what to do there. I feel like I should do a mic drop at this point because there's so much truth in what you just said. It's the absolute truth. And the point that I want to hammer home is, you guys, take every word he said and take it to heart. But that does not mean that you have to do it the way he did it or I did it or Jenna did it. You do it your way in your time.
Please.
Just remember that you matter. Your happiness is so important. And again, like Oz said, if they can't see that budding happiness within you coming out and they can't stand to see it, then they don't need to be here. They don't need to be in your life, because what you are and how beautiful you are with all your faults, because y'all know I got some faults, okay? Because I've been very open and honest about them. I have some seriously awful faults, and I've done some bad things in my life. But you know what? I'm happy. Today I'm standing here, I'm happy, and I'm embracing who I am, what I am, and I'm reaching out to make other people's lives a little bit easier by maybe one Monday you're like, I had a crap day. I'm going to go listen to Deborah make some stupid jokes and bob her head up and down and just whatever it takes. I don't care. I just want to make somebody else's life a whole lot easier. And I think that's something that I get from you two, is that I get you speaking your truths and I get you coming across with all the wonderful stuff that you have. And every time I listen to you, I love the way you two interact. It is an amazing thing. And I love to see that with people when they just are cohesive and everything is great together. And I still can't believe you don't live on the same side of the United States, but and you have a way of putting stuff out there that you make people like, oh shit. It's like you might be with a sledgehammer when Oz delivers it, or maybe a little slide when Jenna delivers it, but it's still delivered and it's a good thing for people to hear. And I greatly appreciate you guys going out there and doing your thing. And we've been talking over an hour. I normally don't do that. Let me see. You guys have any other questions or things we should hit from the
Damn, an hour is what's on our channel. I feel like we're just getting started.
I know.
I barely will go an hour, and most of the time I only have like 5 listeners, and I have 12 today. So y'all helped me set a record. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very, very much.
To back you up and say this, and you guys hang out with Tang, so you know this, but I'm gonna say, shout out Tang Gang, because this is what the fuck we do. Atheist your way, mourn your way, grieve your way, like do your shit your way.
Yeah.
And when I say this,
Hell yeah.
I'm saying this, it's like 50-50, like 50% playful, 50% serious. Like fuck them. Fuck them. Whether it's family, friends, whatever. If they're not wanting to push you and your happiness forward, fuck them. All right, I'm done. I'm muting.
I agree. Well, with that, no, I did have a couple things I wanted to touch on. I don't think we touched on is I'm seeing a lot of comments where people are saying, like people would get on their medications and then the church would tell them to get off of them. And, you're not, if you would not take these medications, then you could hear God's voice. Okay.
Oh.
Attention, everyone. This is coming from somebody who's spent a very long time as a paramedic. Them voices that you're hearing, that ain't God. Okay. That's your crazy. That's the chemical imbalance in your brain telling you to do some fucked up shit. Do not stop taking your medication. Do not. Okay? You stop taking your medication and it's going to be a bad outcome. Whether you think you're strong enough or not, I'm telling you right now, talk it over with friends, talk it over with therapists, whatever the case may be. Do not give up on yourself.
No.
Do not go back to where crazy ran your life. Okay? Be realistic and take those meds. If there's no shame whatsoever in taking a mental health medication. Y'all, I take 5 every day, 2 to 3 times a day. Okay. And you know why? Because I like being sane. I don't like the doubt. I don't like the bullshit, talking myself out of things. I don't like crying because I can't get something figured out. Okay. And as always, like Uncle Beck says, talk to your family physician. Get somebody in there that you can trust that will listen to you and not placate you and say, hey, that's nothing. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. Because that's not always the case. We have to be there for each other and we have to support each other. Yes, Austin.
So one of the things and I'll give the elevator pitch on this. Faith is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, faith is not going to get you through mental illness, physical illness, or anything. So if you were one that prescribes to faith as a medicine to a mental or physical illness, and you actually believe that shit could maybe work, I want to ask this. I'm a businessman. I want you to exercise that same level and degree of faith when I give you this proposal. I have this badass knockout, like guaranteed to be $1 billion business plan. Guaranteed. All I need you to do is just sign on the line. I just need you to sign. There's no, I'm not giving you data. I'm not going to give you projections. I'm not going to give you a forecast. I'm not going to give you shit. I just want you to sign on the line and hand me over your investment dollars, your life in this context. I want you to do that. So exercise that same faith that you did for that. Would you do that? And everybody says no. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about $1 billion.
Nah, dog.
Yeah, exactly. And it just like real quick, we're having like Sadie just hit on it again. You feel like such a failure when you, at least for me, I took my medication and I was feeling better, and then I got told, you can pray away your PTSD, or you can be whatever the case may be. And then I'd go off my medication, and then I'd be 10 steps behind where I was when I started hearing this crud. Okay, you guys, the biggest thing to remember, just because you have a mental health problem does not mean that you cannot have faith in yourself. This is the one person in this world, when you get right and you are good with you will always be here. I'm always going to be here for myself. Yeah. I'm going to be standing in the shitstorm and I'm going to be standing in the sunshine. Either way, I'm going to be here. So you can listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to what's going on, and make sure that you reach out and get the help. We've talked a little bit tonight about alcohol and being an alcoholic. I'm not by any way, shape, or form saying that is a great way to deal with your issues. I am not. In fact, I would probably advocate that for myself. I should probably drink quite a bit less. But if it's something you're doing and you're aware of it and you're keeping yourself in check, that, okay, it's not something I'm going to deny myself, because I do keep it in check and I am well aware of what can happen. So don't say everything is bad. Everything I do in my life is bad because someone says that God wouldn't like it. You know what? God doesn't like pedophiles either, but I see a whole fucking lot of them in religion.
Sure do.
Just being as real as I can here, but I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent now, and I might
No,
start
you're
twisting my words,
good.
but
Mama Deb, you're good.
I cannot thank you two enough for coming on and sharing your stories with me. And again, you guys, get a therapist. Start talking to one. If you don't like one and you're there 1 minute and you don't like them, get up and leave and find another one. Find one that will go with you. I cannot say enough about grief support. Get into some grief support and find some like-minded individuals that will help you out along the way. And I'm not talking about becoming dependent on other people. I'm talking like, hey, I thought of you today, and you text. And that is amazing what it will do when you are having a down day.
Absolutely.
It is amazing to me. So with that being said, is there any questions, comments, or concerns, Beck, that I need to hit? I'm still learning this whole producer thing. And I have to say, big shout out again to my producer, Beck. He carries me. He really does. He says, I don't do anything, but you're the talent, Deb. That's not true, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be here doing the things that I am doing. So with that being said, thank you again, guys. I really appreciate all your support. Everybody, please remember to join the after party. We're going to hang out. We're just going to be silly. Beck just put the link up there. We're going to just be silly and hang out and be friends, because that's what we do. And be kind, as always. Be kind to yourselves, and remember, you're perfect just the way you are. Bye-bye.